Success story, BookArk, saving reading in the digital age. In the heart of the bustling but increasingly digital city of Seattle, there was a small bookstore with a faded sign that read BookArk. It was surrounded by high-rise buildings, coffee shops with free Wi-Fi, and electronics stores like an oasis of the analog era in the realm of bits and bytes. The story of BookArk began not with grand plans and business strategies, but with a quiet love of books and despair at the thought that reading was becoming a thing of the past. The founder of the store, David Miller, was a hereditary bibliophile. His grandfather owned a small library and his father worked as a second-hand bookseller. David grew up surrounded by books. Their smell, texture, and stories were familiar and irreplaceable to him. However, when David decided to open his own bookstore, many advised him to abandon this idea. E-books, online stores, and social networks seemed to leave no chance for the traditional book business. But David was sure that books had a future if people could be offered something more than just the opportunity to buy a text. With a small amount of capital inherited from his father, David rented a small space in an old part of the city where the spirit of the past was still preserved. He renovated the space himself, painted the walls in warm, cozy colors, and placed antique bookshelves. David wanted to create not just a store, but a place where people could feel comfortable, take a break from the hustle and bustle, and enjoy the atmosphere of reading. He installed comfortable chairs, organized a small corner with free tea and coffee, and even got a cat named Shakespeare, who became the symbol of the BookArk. At first, it was very difficult. There were few visitors and expenses were growing. David thought that he would have to close the store, but he did not give up. He decided that he needed to find a way to attract people's attention and show them that reading is not a relic of the past, but an exciting and useful activity. David began organizing various events at the BookArk, meetings with writers, book clubs, literary readings, calligraphy and bookbinding workshops. He invited local artists and musicians to hold their exhibitions and concerts in the store. One of David's most successful ideas was the organization of book dates. Visitors were asked to fill out a short questionnaire indicating their favorite genres, authors, and books. Then David selected a surprise book for each participant, wrapped in craft paper and tied with a ribbon. The idea of book dates became so popular that local newspapers and magazines wrote about it. Gradually, the BookArk became the center of cultural life in the area. People of different ages and professions came here: students, writers, artists, businessmen, retirees. They were all united by their love for books and the desire to communicate with like-minded people. David made sure his store had a variety of books to suit all tastes, from classics to contemporary fiction, from nonfiction to cookbooks. He supported local authors, promoted their books, and hosted book meet and greets for them. The BookArk wasn't just a place to buy a book, it was a place to get advice, recommendations, or just talk to someone who was passionate about literature. David wasn't just a bookseller, he was a friend and advisor to his customers. He knew that in the digital age, it was important to offer more than just a product. He created an atmosphere, a community, an experience. He did everything to make reading a pleasure, not a chore. Within a few years, the BookArk had become one of the most well-known and beloved bookstores in Seattle. David expanded the store, opened a small cafe, and even created his own book club. The story of the BookArk is an example of how love for your craft, creativity, and the ability to find common ground with people can lead to success, even in the most difficult conditions. David Miller proved that books will never die if they are loved and promoted with soul. He did not just save reading in his area, he created a place where people could find inspiration, knowledge, and support. He built his BookArk not to shelter from the digital storm, but to show that books are an eternal beacon that will always show the way to knowledge, wisdom, and humanity. And it all started with a belief in books and a desire to share this belief with others. The BookArk became more than just a bookstore. It became a community where people felt at home, where they could share their thoughts and emotions, where they could find new friends and experience amazing adventures simply by opening a book. And it was a success that David Miller could never have imagined.